Hey, what is going on? Hope everyone had an amazing week. Welcome to another episode of Outside the Chute. I'm your host, Randy Frame. Gotta say, Opie and I were floored by the response coming back off our break. We had some awesome messages and record downloads daily this week, so thanks so much from the both of us. Suppose we gotta keep these awesome guests coming to keep you coming back for more. Speaking of awesome guests, I had the pleasure of sitting down and chatting with reigning WPF Pitcher of the Year from the inaugural WPF champion Texas Smoke, Pease. Autumn had a 2023 to remember, finishing up her college career with Minnesota Golden Gophers, being named Big Ten Pitcher of the Year. She was then drafted 10th overall by the Texas Smoke, and as previously mentioned, top pitcher honors and a WPF championship. What a year right there. We're going to take a deep dive with Autumn into her career, from getting her start at a young age in California to committing and attending Idaho State, transferring to Minnesota, the pandemic months, getting drafted, winning the WPF Championship, and much, much more. This was such a fun chat, I gotta say. I really have to thank the Texas Smoke and their whole organization for being open to letting their players like Autumn and many others previously come on the podcast and tell their story. Shelby, if you're listening, thanks so much for setting this one up. That organization is doing big things for the game, and it's so awesome to see. One thing before we get to the episode, if you want to follow us on social media so you don't miss out on any new shows like this, you can find us on all of them pretty much. Our handle is @OutsideTheChute, and there's always something new being posted daily. Also, if you're on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel on there and make sure that notifications tab is on, because we have some great stuff in the works planned over the next few weeks for that platform. So without further ado, let's get to Autumn, because this is Outside the Chute and anything goes.
I got the world in my palm, like camera action, it's on. I can't describe what I'm feeling, ain't never felt this freedom. I got the world in my palm, like camera action, it's on. Ain't never felt this freedom. Could you say that anything goes, anything goes, anything goes, anything goes, anything goes, anything goes.
Here we go. We are happy to have on with us today 2023 Big Ten Pitcher of the Year with the Minnesota Golden Gophers, 2023 WPF Champion and WPF Pitcher of the Year with the Texas Smoke, the one and only Pease. Autumn, thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
How's things going out in Minnesota?
They're going good. I'm working with a trial ball team. Been having some tough work the past couple of days, just building the facility out. And getting ready to help some girls out in Minnesota with their softball skills.
Nice. Now, you're originally from California, correct?
Yep, I am. Yeah.
So are you back in Minnesota like part-time or?
So I'm gonna live out here for a couple more years, and then wherever life takes me, I'm gonna end up moving somewhere else. Maybe stay out here a little bit longer.
Right on. Yeah, that's quite a lifestyle change from California to Minnesota, but you're probably used to it by now, right?
Yeah. I mean, I still, every time I go back to California, I ask myself why I moved out to Minnesota. But it's not bad when you're out in Minnesota and just stay out here.
Yeah, true enough. First off, congrats on what's been quite a year for you so far.
Thank you.
Yeah. You still have 2 months to go in the year. Anything else left, or?
No, I don't think so. Now it's just time to chill, take a break.
Yeah, true enough. So since the season's been done, have you just been back in Minnesota, doing what you're doing?
So I went home a little bit to California for about 2 weeks and visited my dad and mom. And then I went out to Idaho and went to my friend's wedding out there. And then I just came back about a week and a half ago. So I've been traveling a little bit, but also doing absolutely nothing.
Right on. Well, I think you deserve it by now.
Yeah.
Now, when I do my research for this, I dig deep. How's your dad making out?
He's doing good. He's finally home. So he was in a rehab facility for the stroke that he had. Mm-hmm. but he's at home now. I talk to him pretty much every day. But he was actually looking for a babysitter, he said, because my mom's coming out to Minnesota for our banquet for softball and our alumni game. So
okay,
we'll see how he fends this weekend, but he's been doing a lot better.
Good. That's good to hear. I mean, that had to be, pretty tough on you for the summer. I mean, and the way you succeeded, I mean, that goes to show your mental fortitude there.
Oh, yeah. It was definitely tough because it happened right at the end of our spring training. So our first game was like June 10th or something, and we were playing some scrimmages, and I got a call from my sister, and she's like, "Are you coming home?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "You need to come home." And I was like, "I can't till the end of summer." And she's like, "Well, Dad had a stroke." So I hopped on a plane within an hour and flew home, was with him for a little bit while he was in the ICU. And then I came back out to Texas and started full swing with the smoke. But it was definitely very hard to be back for like my first games and not have my dad there. And even my mom couldn't come out to any of our games this summer. So it was kind of weird going from college where my dad was at almost every single game traveling to see me to being professional. And him not being able to come out. But he would tell me every time I called him, he would tell me how proud of me he was. So it was nice that I was still able to have those connections with him. It just wasn't the best that he couldn't be there with me.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. No doubt at all. I mean, that definitely had to be tough. But I mean, hey, everything's on the, it seems like it's on the upswing now, which is, fantastic to hear.
Yeah.
So we have a little thing here that I like to kick off the podcast with. Call it quick pitches. I'm gonna throw out some random questions to you, and hey, you try to answer them as best you can.
Okay.
All right. First one. I always start off with this one. If you had to live off one meal for a week, what is it?
Anything chicken, probably like barbecue chicken.
Oh, nice. Good call. Favorite uniform color combination with the Golden Gophers?
Ooh, I loved our gold jerseys and our maroon pants. Absolute favorite.
Yeah, that's a sick combo. Go-to show to binge watch?
Ooh, I don't really watch TV.
Oh, okay.
What have I been? I just started Gossip Girl again.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's a throwback right there.
Yeah, definitely. It was. I've seen the first episode probably 10 times. So
Gossip Girl XOXO. Is there one song in the world that you never get sick of?
Hurricane by Luke Combs.
Okay. You're trapped on a deserted island. What are 3 things you definitely need?
Books. I need a lot of books just to keep me occupied. My Stanley, that it will have an infinite amount of water, and then probably a blanket, honestly.
Not a boat to get off the island, or
no, I could probably be on the island with my books by myself.
Okay, all right. Favorite uniform color combo with the Texas Smoke?
Ooh,
that's tough.
I really liked our nickname uniforms, like our jerseys that we had. Those were sick, and I guess they were like Houston Astro throwback jerseys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely loved those with white pants.
Okay, the red ones for me. All red ones are just dynamite.
Yeah, we just wore them too much.
Yeah. Hey, you won a championship in them, so hey.
Yeah, we definitely did.
2 more here. If you could have dinner with any 3 people, dead or alive, who are they?
I'm gonna go with Travis Kelce, the tight end from the Chiefs. Luke Combs, because I absolutely love him. And then, honestly, probably my dad.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That'd be interesting conversation at dinner.
For sure.
Last one. Who is the best pitcher in the MLB, and why is it Sonny Gray?
Oh my gosh. Well, I love Sonny Gray so much. But so I'm an Oakland Athletics fan.
Okay.
Which is very tragic. the past couple of years. But so I've been a Sonny Gray fans since obviously he was drafted to the Athletics. But he was really the first like MLB player at any position that got me to fall in love with like following specific players. So I obviously followed him once he got traded from the Athletics, like all the good players do.
Yeah.
And then it just worked out that now he's at the Twins and I'm in Minnesota. So I obviously have been following him from the Reds to the Yankees and now to the Twins. But I don't know. I just really like him. He's so good and he's like so cool, calm and collected. And like, he has a sick name. Like it grabs your attention.
Yeah,
so
true enough. It definitely does.
yeah. So
do you ever sit back and wonder like, man, Oakland could have such a good team if they had money, you know?
But they're great. Like they don't even need the money. Like think back to even a couple years ago, like they won the division and they're beating all these teams without the money. Like,
well, that's Billy Bean and his money ball.
Yeah. I mean, that doesn't work anymore.
No,
they got to get rid of it. But like I saw something today on Twitter, like this is the first time they're like 50 games below 500 since 1919. So like, obviously they're not, they weren't doing too bad with the small amount of money they had, but it's gotten to a point where they need to switch things up.
Yeah, true. Well, they're moving to Vegas, aren't they? Is that the rumor?
That's the rumor. As soon as they move to Vegas, I will no longer be a fan. I will jump ship to the Blue Jays.
There you go. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. Why the Blue Jays?
I mean, kind of similar to the Sonny Gray thing. I mean, I followed Josh Donaldson, Marcus Semien, obviously Matt Chapman.
Okay.
Guys just getting traded there. I felt like it was a good place where a lot of athletics players went. And now you got the young talents that are pretty much leading baseball they're just really fun to watch, honestly.
Yeah.
So.
I'm a diehard Jays fan, so
yeah.
I love that answer. We'll take more fans any day, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, we have the whole country behind them, so
yeah.
All right, so let's go back to when it all began for you. How did little Autumn get her start in the game?
So I have two older sisters, and they actually played softball as well. So I was always around the softball field, and then I just ended up getting into softball. I used to be in gymnastics, but then my mom went and she couldn't sign me up. So then I went to softball. But yeah, so I was pretty much around my sisters full time at the softball field. Started when I was about 8 years old. Yeah, just did my local rec league for a couple of years.
Nice. Love for it right away, or something that, grew over time?
It definitely, I mean, from what I remember, like, I was upset when there was one season where my parents were like, hey, we can't have you playing softball this year. We're just going to do this instead. And I was very upset with that. So I'm going to assume that I absolutely loved it, but I would stay at the field on Saturdays from 7 a.m. till the last game. So I was constantly around it and always wanted to be around it.
Right on. So what would tell us about, travel ball in high school days?
Yeah. So growing up, I didn't really like to practice. And as a pitcher, that's not really a good thing.
No, probably not.
Yeah. So when I was in middle school, I can't remember what grade, but my dad just was so fed up with me not practicing that I was playing travel ball, but he didn't want to spend all this money. So he actually put me in rec ball as well. Literally, so I would have to practice. So I would be pitching more than just the weekends. But then I got through that. And then in high school, I was playing travel ball and high school softball. I went to a school where I don't think they'd won a league game since I got there. So we won league that year. And then we actually won CIF, which is like it's not state because we don't do the whole entire state of California, or at least we didn't when I was in high school.
Right.
But we won our little section of it. Wow. But yeah, I mean, that's about it.
That's not going from any wins to doing that, especially in California when there's so many teams. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was definitely a cool experience. So I transferred high schools. So I went to like the best softball team in the league, and then transferred to the school called Marietta Mesa, and just turned it around. Honestly, my sister came over with me. We won, I think, like 50% of our league games that first year, and then that second year is when we finally won it all. But it was definitely cool because the high school coach at Marietta Mesa, the one I transferred to, actually coached me in rec ball a little bit. So
okay.
It was like a complete like circle to finally have him take me from like being not good to being really good. So it was definitely cool.
Was college always on the radar, or was that,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's...
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I don't think in California I don't think we play softball or sports in that matter, like not thinking about college.
Good point.
Yeah, that's definitely like, I think that's kind of what's different about California. And like, from my experience, the girls in the Midwest, like, right, we specialize in our one sport at a pretty young age, which don't know if that's too good. But we specialize, and then like we stick to that, and it's kind of drilled in our heads, like, hey, this is what's going to get you to school. So that was always my thought, was I'm going to get to college by playing softball. Okay.
Well, let's talk about that recruiting process. What led to the decision to attend Idaho State?
So my travel ball coach, I didn't have too many looks in travel ball. I think Idaho State and University of Rhode Island, so like also another weird school,
that is were random
looking at me. Yeah. So I only went on a visit to Idaho State, and I absolutely fell in love with the city of Pocatello. The coach, Candy Letts at Idaho State, I loved her so much. So that's really, honestly, not having a lot of looks and then just falling in love with the small town is what got me to go to Idaho State.
Okay. It's fun. The funny thing, whenever I think of Idaho, I instantly think of The Simpsons and Ralph Wiggum when he's like, I'm Idaho. Like, you know what I mean? That was a terrible impression, by the way, but that all the time. So what was campus life like there?
It was pretty small. I mean, I would walk to class by like the third week of school. When I was walking to class, I would like look at people, and you pass the same people every day, but I would just think in my head, I'm like, do I know this kid from high school, or have I just seen this kid so much? So it was definitely like a mind trip where I'm like, I think I know these people, but I don't. But it was really cool having experienced like Idaho State and obviously University of Minnesota. I wish every school could honestly be like Idaho State with just how close all of athletics are. I knew every single athlete on campus. We all hung out. We all pretty much got along, and it was just a very tight-knit community. And then obviously I had my friends from the city, which is why I went back for that wedding, because some of my friends actually live in Pocatello. Right. So it's just a really nice vibe, honestly. Like it's so laid back, and you don't have to be something you're not out in Idaho. That's
pretty cool. I mean, you want to be comfortable, definitely. Mm-hmm. How was the adjustment living on your own for the first time?
It wasn't too bad. So my freshman year roommate, her name was Amber. We had like an apartment style room. So we didn't like sleep in the same rooms. We all had our own rooms. And I was telling her the other day, I was like, dude, we were absolutely disgusting. Like we lost 2 roommates and then got a new set. Like it definitely took time for me to learn that, like, you got to pick up after yourself, you got to clean, you got to do all this stuff. Um, but I didn't even learn that until I got to Minnesota. So
that's funny. So I always like asking about your first real game in NCAA. Do you remember it?
Yeah, it was against Louisville.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
3-0 shutout win.
Yeah, we were down in at Cal State Fullerton, so it was really cool because my whole family could be there, because that's a little bit down the road from me.
Mm.
And obviously it was a Power 5 school, so I was absolutely ecstatic about that. And then we won. So that's all I really remember. But
hey, not a bad way to kick off your collegiate career.
Oh yeah, and after that game, I like came off the field, and I remember like telling my parents, I'm like, maybe I could play at a better school. Like, I think I can do this. So,
well, I mean, geez, you had quite the freshman season. You got Big Sky Conference co-freshman of the year with Faith Howard of Weber State there.
Yep.
So what did you find was the biggest adjustment for you jumping into Division I ball?
I think just how good the hitters are. Like, the mindset of the hitters is so different than it is in just travel ball. It's so weird because, like, they're not really, obviously they're better, but they're not that much better. And obviously pitchers are better in college too. But I think just like my understanding of the game and like pitch calling wasn't at the level that it needed to be.
Right.
But I don't know if it could have honestly, like, I don't know how I could have worked on that in travel ball when I was pretty much the one calling my pitches or my catchers. So it was like never coaches doing that.
Right.
But I think that was the biggest difference, is just like seeing how much everyone else around you knows, and like you feel like you don't know as much.
Yeah, makes sense. So what led to the transfer to Minnesota?
So one of my teammates from Idaho State told me she was transferring, and I was like, what the heck? Like, what's going on? We knew that our coaches were going to get fired from Idaho State. So we saw this whole changing within the program. And what really drove me to transfer was that I wanted a school that already had a dental school. So Idaho State was like a sister program with Creighton. So you could get into Creighton and go to their dental school. But I just wanted the school that already had it. So that's what really drove me to transfer. So I was looking at two schools. I was obviously looking at University of Minnesota and then University of Virginia, which both had dental schools.
Okay. Wow. That's pretty cool. So is that what did you pursue that? Did you?
No.
Oh, okay.
So up until my super senior year, I was going to go to dental school. I was going to take a gap year. I was going to just study for the dental admissions test. But then I took organic chemistry and it got the best of me.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. I was going to say, because I tried to get my notes deep into it. And I was like, I did not come across dental school at all.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. All right. So how was the transition to Minnesota?
It was pretty flawless.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have anything else to compare it to, obviously.
Right.
I guess my freshman year. But it was super easy. The girls at Minnesota on the team were very welcoming. The coaches constantly checking in to see how I was doing. I would say like the hardest thing for me was, one, I didn't have, like, I lived with foreign exchange students when I got to Minnesota. So they didn't speak very well English. They were from China. So I didn't have roommates as friends. And then you're in a big city. Like, this city is massive compared to Pocatello.
Right.
And I would not go anywhere in Pocatello without my roommate, Amber. So coming to Minnesota and even just like walking to the Target on campus, like, I could not stand doing that. I did not want to walk alone. Didn't want to be anywhere alone. So it was like really weird transitioning from having all those close relationships and like being in that community to being in a big city where like no one knows you, no one, like, people want to be your friend, but like no one really cares.
Right. That's crazy.
But,
okay.
Yeah.
I need to rewind a little bit here. How do you end up living with foreign exchange students? That's just so random.
Yeah, it was really random. I don't think there was much open. Like when I was transferring, my coach said like, hey, you could live with like these soccer girls or these volleyball girls, something. And I was like, no, I don't think I want to do that. Like, just put me in the like student athlete type housing. So it's called the Radius out here.
Okay.
And she's like, okay. And then she put me in it. And it was with those roommates. So
were they athletes?
They were not athletes. They were just normal students, and they ended up leaving after fall semester. So,
oh,
yeah, it was kind of crazy. I mean, I do still follow them on Instagram and see everything they're doing, but
but you can't communicate.
Yeah, we definitely would have conversations, but it was never anything like super deep or super like relationship building type of conversations.
That's could almost make that a sitcom. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, again, in your debut with a new team, you throw another shutout against Missouri State. I mean, that definitely must have helped in the transition for sure.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
the other thing, I mean, kind of quite a year to be making a transfer, though. Didn't see that pandemic coming.
Yep. No, not at all.
Let's talk about that for a bit. I mean, so where were you guys when you found out everything was shutting down?
We, so it was spring break for us. So we had just played a tournament down at UCLA in Long Beach State. And then headed out to Hawaii for a little tournament against University of Hawaii and I think a couple of other teams. So we played our first game against University of Hawaii. Had like a whole day break. So we were out having a team breakfast. And they told us at team breakfast, they're like, okay, nobody go on your phones. Like, don't pay attention to the news, whatever. Like, literally nothing. And at this point, the NBA was talking about shutting their season down. So we were at breakfast eating, and then I felt my phone buzz and I looked at it, and it was ESPN, and it said that the NBA had canceled their season. And I looked at everyone and I was like, I don't know if you guys know this, but like our season's going to be over. And then our coaches called us. They're like, hey, we need to have a conversation with you guys. And then that's when they told us that everything was being shut down. And that we were going to head out of Hawaii like the next day.
Wow.
So we didn't even get to stay.
So crazy when you think back on it now. Hey? Like,
yeah,
like just wild now that, you know, everything's open back up and it's just wild time. So what were the emotions like for everybody? Because I mean, I imagine the seniors must have been just devastated because, you know, they had no idea what the outcome was going to be following that.
Yeah. I just know initially, like, that was the senior class that they went to the World Series. So that was Amber Pfizer, McKenna Partain, all the big, like, pretty much all the big names of Minnesota softball.
Yeah.
I just remember they were crying. They were obviously upset. And other people were crying because it's just like a random thing to happen.
Yeah.
Like,
no
one knew that was going to happen. We didn't know how long it was going to be. So it was definitely like, I don't know, it's kind of scary, honestly. Like, you didn't know if people were going to get their year of eligibility back. You didn't know what was literally going to happen to the world. So it was just like a questioning time period on our team.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. So how did you make use of your time during the break?
I mean, we were still in school. So we ended up coming back to campus pretty soon after. And our coaches had told us, they're like, don't go home. Like, after spring break or in 2 weeks, we're going to be practicing again. And everyone's like, what? No, we're going home. So I hopped on a flight. I went home. I went out to Palm Springs to one of my aunt's houses. So I was the only one out there. And I just did my school out there. So everything was online. I would wake up, get on Zoom, do my class, like whatever classes I had, do homework, go to bed. So it was literally just school.
Yeah, but you're in Palm Springs instead of Minnesota. So, I mean,
oh yeah,
that's kind of nice.
It was definitely nice. I loved it. I was by myself. I could read when I wanted to. I could go outside.
That sounds awesome, actually.
Yeah.
So you get word you're coming back. Not only that, you got the extra year of eligibility. That had to be a pretty good feeling, eh?
Yeah, I didn't know if I was going to take the extra year just because at that point, I thought I was going to be going to dental school. So I thought I was going to have all my prereqs done, everything squared away. So it was kind of up in the air. I was like, okay, maybe I don't need to take my 5th year. I can just finish where I'm at and be fine with it. But obviously I took it and I was excited to have 4 years as a Gopher.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to ask about if April 17th, 2021 means anything to you.
It does not, but I'm assuming, was that our Nebraska game?
Sure was.
Oh, yeah.
Threw a no-hitter.
Yeah.
Geez, 2-0 against Nebraska. That's pretty good in itself. What do you recall about that no-hitter?
Yeah, I had like 3 strikeouts. I think I walked a girl.
Yep.
I look back at that no-hitter and I remember I said it after the game. Like I told my team, I was like, honestly, that wasn't my no-hitter. Like our defense literally did everything. Obviously, like I got 3 outs of the 21. So like our defense was on fire that game. And obviously you have to score runs, which we did. But I also remember the day before, like a White Sox pitcher, I don't even remember who it was. He threw a no-hitter and I like read it and I was like, I could throw a no-hitter. And then literally the next day I went out and I threw a no-hitter. So it was kind of cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah, no, it was definitely cool. Because I think there were a couple of MLB no-hitters throughout that like week before and then a little bit after.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I know the last girl I got out was her last name's Edwards and she is also from Marietta out in California. So that was kind of a cool little moment. She's the last out of the game. But it was definitely weird. Like, I just remember that whole game. I felt like I was pretty much in control of the game. Not that like I was striking them out or anything, but that I had control of what they were going to do with the ball.
Right.
So
now, did you see? I'm a pitcher as well. I've been pitching my whole life.
Yeah.
Usually in games, like if you're throwing, you don't realize that until I've thrown a couple no hitters, and I didn't realize until the 6th inning. I was like, oh, wow, like you're in such a zone. Like, did you find yourself in that kind of zone?
I think about the 5th inning, like I looked up and I was like, oh, there's no hits. But then once you start thinking about it, that's when everything goes down.
Can't be doing that.
Yeah. So I think like after that, I just started not looking at the scoreboard. I was like, I don't even care.
Yeah.
Whatever. So.
Awesome.
But then I know like in the 7th inning, I obviously knew it was a thing. And then we got that last out and everyone was so excited.
That's fantastic. Love no hitters. Yeah. Love no hitters.
Yeah, they're so cool.
Let's talk about this past season with your, final one with the Golden Gophers. I mean, I mentioned a couple of your accolades at the beginning of our talk. What was the mindset going into your final season?
Honestly, it was just to have fun. Like, I'm big on just creating relationships. Like, I would tell every team that I was on here, your softball career is only for so long. And when you get to college, you're at the end of your career. You got 4 years left. So it's so much more beneficial to spend your time creating good relationships with the people that you're with. So that's something that I started to focus on, was the girls that I was with instead of softball. And I had gotten injured this season, 2 seasons before, and had surgery that I had struggled with my true senior season. So coming into my super senior year, I told myself, like, it doesn't even matter how your career's gone so far. Like, this is literally your last ride and then you're done. So just be happy with where you are. And like, softball literally is not who you are. So that's really what got me through the season. With, like, people would ask me all the time, they're like, oh, you didn't do great this game, but like, why are you so fine? And I'm like, well, it doesn't really matter. Like, it's literally just a game. There's so much more in this world than softball.
Isn't it funny how much better you do when you don't, put pressure on yourself?
Yeah. And I would try to tell girls, like, you kind of just, it sounds so bad, but you just can't care. Like, you can't care at all how you do. And not in like a negative way. Like, obviously you got to be happy when you're doing good, but when things aren't going the way you want, it's literally not the end of the world. Like, you're probably going to go out tomorrow and do better than you did on your worst day.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's definitely a mindset that I learned from my injury, where it's like, things could be worse than how they're going. So just be fine with how things are going.
Yeah, good way to look at it, for sure. Definitely.
Yeah.
How tough was that season ending loss to McNeese? I mean, because 1-0 game and you guys out hit them 6-2. Like, that had to be a tough one.
Yeah, that whole regional was super tough.
Yeah.
We went like 13, maybe it was 12 innings with McNeese, and Coach Ritter started me that first McNeese game. I didn't do well. They were hitting me. So then we put in another pitcher. They hit her a little bit. We put in another pitcher. And like, that's a long game. Everything, like, it literally felt like a never ending game. So emotions were definitely high from the start of game 1,
right.
Which obviously it's a regionals and that's how it's going to be. But it was definitely a lot harder than any of the other regionals we've ever been in. And then we go to that UNC game, the Northern Colorado. I have a perfect game through the 7th inning, and the first girl bunts in the 7th inning. Breaks up the no-hitter.
Damn her.
Perfect game. I was so mad. I feel like that's just an unwritten rule. You don't do that.
Oh, I know. I'm with you on that one, for sure.
Yeah. So that was upsetting. And like, winning, we had to win that game to get to McNeese again, obviously. So I had pitched that whole game. I mean, Coach Ritter wasn't going to pull me out. I had a perfect game going. So I threw all 7, and then we knew that second McNeese game was going to be just as hard as the first. And once we got towards the end and we weren't scoring, Coach Ritter's like, you got to go warm up. And I was like, what are you talking about, dude? So then I go up and I warm up. And I'm like, I was super emotional at that point. I was like, this very well could be my last inning,
right? Or
like last game pitching. And then Coach Ritter ended up putting me in, and I was talking to Taylor because she came out to the circle. And I was like, are you ready for this, like, possible last inning to ever catch me? And she's like, literally, stop, like, you're gonna make me cry. So it was super emotional from the start, but it was fun. It was a different fun with how emotional and like testing it was on our emotions.
I bet. Yeah. So what are some of the great memories over your 4 years there, whether it was on or off the field?
Yeah. The first memory that I can always think of on the field is that 2020 year when we were down in the St. Pete Clearwater and we were playing Florida State. And I think they were like number 2 or number 5, and we were number 7 in the nation. And it was just a back and forth game all game. And we ended up winning. It was so electric, honestly.
Yeah, that would be
my favorite game I think I've ever really played in. And then off the field, we have this really weird thing that we do at Minnesota. And
elaborate, please.
yeah. So before our home games, we sit in the locker room and we sing the national anthem. Like each person sings one word of the national anthem. So we go through the whole national anthem like that. And then we end up doing like a different style of the national anthem. So we'll do like a country style or like Shakira style and we'll sing it in that. But it's really fun to see like how many people don't actually know the national anthem. Obviously, we had a girl from Canada who literally knew our national anthem better than some of the girls.
Absolutely. So. We love the national anthem up here in Canada.
Yeah. So that's just something really cool that like we would always do every single home game all together.
That loosens the nerves too. You know what I mean?
Like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So was the pro game on your radar at all?
No, So I actually didn't, even up until the end of my senior year, my true senior year, I didn't even know if I was going to take my 5th year, just because my true senior year, I had so many complications with my surgery. And I told myself, I was like, okay, I'm going to give myself until the end of summer. And if my arm's not better, then there's no point in me putting myself through even just another season. And then obviously I ended up playing my super senior year, but I don't know. I mean, Amber Pfizer had texted me and she's like, oh, would you play in the WPF? And I was like, yeah, if I was given the opportunity. And then that was that. Like nothing else. Didn't hear anything. Didn't even question her. So then I just stopped thinking about it, just played the rest of my season. And then my coach asked me to come in and she asked if I would play in the WPF, just because some teams were reaching out to her. And I was like, yeah, I mean, definitely if the opportunity's there. I don't have any other plans right now. So, but that's when I definitely started thinking that maybe I could go play professional, was in March of my senior season.
Okay. So. All right. Well, I mean, the Texas Smoke got a steal at the 10th overall pick, taking you. How exciting was that moment for you?
It was cool.
Yeah.
I was with 2 of my teammates at our campus dining hall for athletes. So it was just nice to see other people so supportive of me in that moment. But it was also just a very surreal moment for me to look back and be like, wow, I actually made it. And I actually am one of the best softball players in the world. Honestly, we got some good softball out here.
Yep, absolutely. So you're bang on there.
Yeah. So it's cool being not a no name, because I mean, I go to Minnesota, we're a pretty big school, but to not be one of the bigger names.
Right.
And still getting drafted above some of the big names. Yeah.
That's awesome. So what were your expectations going into, training camp with Texas?
I didn't really have any expectations, honestly. I don't know. It seems kind of weird. I was
just going to show up.
Yeah, I was just going to show up. Whatever was going to happen was going to happen. I mean, I was coming off of a college season. I'd gotten a PRP injection right before. So I called up Brandon Phillips, our owner, and I was like, hey, I can't pitch until June 7th. And he's like, yeah, whatever. It's totally fine. Do whatever you need to do to get your arm right, get your body right. I know you just had a long season. So whatever time you need, go ahead and take it. So, I mean, I flew out to Austin the end of May. was out there for a little bit and started training camp. Was pretty much just hanging out, not really softball, doing softball because of my arm. But it's cool to be around some of like the greats of the softball world and just seeing all of the knowledge they have. So that was like definitely a game changer for me. It was like Savannah Jakewish. I definitely watched her when I was younger, and the things she would tell me, just like, I was amazed.
Oh, I bet. I bet. I mean, so what's that ownership group like? Because I mean, you know, Brandon Phillips is massive in MLB circles, and you know, Jade's there, Cargill, wrestling superstar, and you know, so what's it like playing for that ownership group?
It's cool. It's something different that I think you wouldn't get anywhere else.
Right.
I remember when we were having the tryouts for the Smoke, like BP came out on the field and he was throwing with someone. Like, he's just so chill, and you wouldn't even guess that he's our owner, honestly. Like,
that's awesome.
He doesn't separate himself from us. Like, he is very chill. Jade's not around too much, but I mean, when she has been around, we're all just starstruck by her, honestly.
I bet.
She is like an absolute perfect human being in our eyes. So, but it's definitely like they have this swag to them that you feel immediately, and like it makes you want to be good for them.
Right.
So they're different than I think any other owner in the league, just by the fact that like they let us be ourselves, but we know that they're going to work for us.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, what a season you guys had. First overall in the regular season, win the championship against the Pride in a 2-game sweep. Just how fun was it playing with that group of players? Because I mean, I've talked to 5 of the girls from that team before on the podcast here, and I know the personalities. I mean, that seemed like a fun team.
Yeah. We definitely had like a lot of different personalities, and that was one of the things that I was really scared of. I was talking to Amber Pfizer, and I was like, dude, like, just all the personalities that we have on our team, I don't know how this is going to go. And this was like right when I got drafted. And then we were out there, and like, obviously it took us time to get used to each other, because we're all professionals and we all have our way of doing things that's right for us. So it definitely took time for us to like get used to each other and be okay with each other. But once we started cruising, like, it was fun and it was cool because everyone out there wanted everyone else to do well. So like Sam Shaw's on the mound, I want her to throw a no-hitter perfect game every single game. I don't care. Like, if she throws every single inning, that's fine by me. If she's doing good, go ahead.
Yeah.
And that's kind of just the vibe, like, especially from the pitchers, that, like, that's just how it was on the team. And then it's obviously cool to have the girls that are like Starla and Janae, which are very cool, calm, and collected, and like just go with the flow, and they just accept things as they come. I don't know. It was one of the coolest experiences I think I've ever actually had in my life.
Oh, I bet. How fun was it to watch Janae do what she does? Because I mean, man, she just lights out.
She's a vacuum. Like, I don't know. I don't know how she gets some of the balls she gets. If the ball is hit anywhere in between first base and second base, like, I know the ball is going to be caught and the girl's going to be out. And it's just the coolest thing, because she has this swag to her that's like, she knows that she's good, but she's not cocky.
Right.
But then she's also one of the first people to like praise you for doing well. So she's one of the first people that I've met like that, where their skill level is just so high, yet their ego isn't that big.
See, that's what the game needs right there. Is, more people like that. That's
we need hundreds of hers.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, the season you had, Going into this, did you think that you'd be WPF Pitcher of the Year? Or you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, not at all. No, I mean, not with all the like big names that were drafted above me and just how good everyone in the league is. Like, there's a small pool of players and everyone that's drafted is good. So not that I thought I was going to get like lit up and absolutely destroyed, because I know what I can do is pretty good.
Yeah, for sure.
But I wasn't expecting to go in and for 2 whole series get girls out with fastballs and changeups. Like, it's amazing what I was actually able to do, because I feel like teams just like, one, they didn't know about me. Like, you don't, when you don't hear a big name, you don't really care to look into them, because, right, if they were that good, they would be a big name.
Right.
Or that's what people think. So
I know what you're saying, for sure.
Yeah, it was nothing of what I expected at all. And I don't know, it was cool just to be able to have like SJ be able to like build my knowledge. And I think that's what helped me as well, is like building my knowledge throughout playing is what helped me be so successful.
Yeah. Yeah. So how's Savannah calling the game? She's, you know, it's going to be fun having her call the game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even Lindsay, our other catcher, Lindsay Thomas. Yeah, I really love the way she calls games. SJ is more of like, let's attack the hitters with like what they're going to get themselves out on.
Okay, gotcha.
So it's like you're going to get the hitters out. They're really not going to beat you when SJ's calling. But the cool thing about how Lindsay calls is Lindsay is so gutsy with her calls. Like, she doesn't care. She will call first pitch changeup. She'll call 2 changeups in a row. Like, she will just do anything.
Yeah, I love that.
Like a batter probably would never think a catcher would do.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that. Yeah. I like that kind of call.
Yeah, no, it was really amazing to see, because like, you know, like as a pitcher, once you get these, like, you know, when you get in the batter's heads, and that's what Lindsay definitely did. So like, it felt like I was just the puppeteer out there and I was just pulling all these strings.
Yeah.
And they were like, the batters were just dancing, doing stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Just because the way Lindsay was calling.
Pulling the strings on the changeup, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what's the long-term plans look for you?
So I signed a 2-year with Texas Smoke as a draftee. So I got another year with them. I'm sure we will talk about some extensions or just seeing where they think my career is going to go. But it's definitely hard playing softball. Like, I would love to get into a career and start my career young. So I actually want to go into medical device sales now, but that's kind of hard to do when you have to pack up and leave for 2.5 months out of the year.
Right.
So we'll see. I mean, I'm still young. It's an amazing opportunity that I'm happy I even have the like choice to do. So I'm going to play for as long as my body lets me, which I don't know how long that's going to be, but
I say the same thing. I say the same thing year by year. I'm 45 and I'm still pitching. So you know what I mean? Like, I would say take care of your body. I should go to the gym more, but and by more I say once. But anyway, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I have a thing that we end the podcast with here. I'm going to call Player Association. I'm going to throw out some names to you. You, if you have a story that you'd like to share about them, let it fly.
Okay.
If not, just say a few words about them. First word that I have here. First one is Amber Areola.
Oh, I love her. She's my bestie. She was my freshman year roommate from Idaho State. So, I mean, she's one of those friends where you don't have to talk to them every single day. You don't have to talk to them even once a month. But when you're back with her, it feels like you pick up right where you left off.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Next up is Riley Costa.
Oh my God. Riley. I have so many good memories with her. We didn't get close until the spring semester of whatever year her last year here was. But she is literally just a ray of sunshine. She's a goofy girl.
2 more here. Shelby Sinceri.
Actually, so me and Shelby, we are literally like sisters. Like, we argue like siblings, but then we always come back together. But we were out in Evansville, Indiana for one of our tournaments against USSSA Pride this year. And there was a little farmer's market going on. And I was like, oh, you want to go to the farmer's market? And she's like, yeah, sure. Like, last year we got these friendship bracelets with some of the girls. Like, do you want to get one? And I was like, yeah. So we got friendship bracelets. And literally, like, some days I would take mine off. And then she'd be like, where's your friendship bracelet? And I'm like, yeah, you're right. That's my fault. But I still wear it to this day. So
that's awesome. That's fantastic. Actually, I forgot about asking before I get to the last one. I meant to ask about something that I come across. You know, I go through social media and everything and Wikipedia and all that stuff. But I have to ask, what's with the mermaid thing with the smoke?
Yeah. So we had a pool at our apartment complex this year, and it was me, Shelby, Morgan, and Marta that all lived at this apartment complex. And then Janae and Jordan came over one day, and they were taking pictures or whatever, and I was in the back just like going up and down out of the pool, just like swimming around, and I'm like, I'm a mermaid. So ever since then, they would always just say like, oh, Autumn the mermaid, and then they would join in. So
okay, good. Now I have a backstory. That's awesome. Okay, last but not least, your coach, Tori Tyson.
Tori is definitely, I mean, I'm from California, so I know her dad. Grew up playing against her dad, and she's definitely like her father, but she is nothing like her dad. But she is one of the strongest women I have ever met. And her coaching style definitely takes some getting used to because she is very gutsy with what she does. But me and her also got into some arguments a couple of times, but we always came back because we're both stubborn, but we just have so much respect for each other. And I think I have the most amount of respect for that lady. Out of anyone, honestly, and even her daughter Skylar. Like, I love Skylar so much. So they're great people. She's so funny. She definitely taught me a lot this summer, just how to grow as a person. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What a great way to wrap up the podcast. Autumn, I got to thank you for, taking time out of your schedule. Come on and have a chat with us. And, I wish you nothing but the best, especially next year with Texas Smoke. Hope you repeat. Hope you do what you did again this year. And then after that, hey, if you want to become a medical salesman or a dentist or whatever, I'm sure you can do whatever you want to do. So again, Autumn, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was so fun.
Awesome. All right, take care.
Thank you too.
I love you so. Yeah, I know I never took it serious. Then what we had got fucked up. We grew apart, but in my heart I still love ya. Back at the start I thought it lasted so long. Went by so fast, now it feels like the passion is gone. Everything I loved about you just got pissed away. And it really gets to be because I miss some days. You was modest, honest, pretty much your god. It's the farthest thing from bitchy or heartless. And never thought less of the jobless parthead. Even though I couldn't get your cards and chocolates, you put up with my nonsense day after day. You were one of them types you don't let get away. Shit, we used to get looped together. I remember one time you were so sick we almost puked together. Your mood was better then, but who would've knew what we had we would soon lose
forever, damn, I still love you.
When we met, you were like my sunshine. We were too young for love, but I knew you'd be mine. Had to let you go and get on with my life. Now I got you back, ain't no leaving this time. And I know I can always rely when I know you'll be keeping me high. So I won't let you go, not again, cause I know I learned my lesson. I know I can't take it serious. You gotta know when I'm feeling this. This type of love ain't hard to find. But you know you're always on my mind. I know I can't take it serious.
I'm going through the same thing right now, man.
This type of love
I gotta
ain't
say
hard
something on
to
this one.
find.
Okay, yeah, I know. I said I wouldn't do it, but I did it. And now it got me wishing that my position was switching. Never no hugs, no tongue, never kiss it. But keep fucking with it since the first day I hit it. The minute that you talked, I would listen. You made the way that I walk a little different. I like your vibe, like the way that you feel. Your hairstyle from the start, now you're paying my bills, I gotta love it. Yeah, I'm a little obsessed, and I'll confess, without you I feel a little depressed. The wife's had it, sick of me giving you my attention. Really, I see a point, but it was never my intention. I'm always talking and bragging you up like, yo, check this, is she amazing or what? And the fatter that you get, the better, I can't complain. The mistress in my life, music before the fame, I love
My girl
it.
knows that you're always on time. And the minute she's gone, we can chill and just vibe.